is tomorrow over 212223. I have your quizzes. I'll give them back to you. Any questions you have. There's plenty of review material for 21 and 22. This quiz was a lot better than our first assessment. Yes, I was really happy over here. Really happy.
I did very bad. And I didn't cheat off of any of them.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. That's all.
That usually means
I went from No, I actually didn't.
First thing I want to bring to your attention, you guys will have a question on your test where you have to use long division. You have to. It says you have to show using long division. So what I did was I put up some practice problems. I'm not going to work any of these out because I have them up, but they're under modules. I think it's called Dividing Polynomials Extra Practice. But you have the problems on the left and then the solutions on the right. So if you wanted to practice going over those, you can do that. I want to go over some of the stuff from your 2.3 homework, just so you guys can see. It's going to be the same exact format that you had on your first quiz, the 2122. Not the vertex question or anything like that, but you're going to have a question the writing in vertex form. You're going to have a question that says, okay, tell me the following, which direction it opens, the vertex, blah, 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 blah. The next question will say something about, here is a polynomial, tell me everything about it, and behaviors, zeros, multiplicity, that sort of thing. Then the rest of the test is really focused on 2.3. So you're going to have to divide using long division, just one question. Then everything else is going to be something like synthetic division, remainder theorem, the rational zero, stuff like that. So what does it mean when they want you to use the remainder theorem?
They're only asking for the remainder.
Only asking for the remainder. Perfect. So if you have, let's do one of these. Let's do a long division question. Which one do you guys want to do?
I think I got all of them wrong. So.
Okay, let's do 13. All right, let's do 13 from your notes. And these answers are already on Canvas. I published them, so you guys can look at this as well for extra help. But let's look at 13. Okay, so I have 4x plus 5 is on the outside, correct? 4x plus 5. And then 4x cubed. Make sure I write this down correctly, please. It's 4x cubed minus 7x squared minus 11x plus 5. Now, the first thing you need to do is make sure there's no what? There's no gaps. Good. Meaning, if you start whatever the highest exponent is, first of all, make sure they're in order, descending. And then make sure it goes, since we're starting off with cubes, it needs to go cubed, squared, x the first, then nothing. Everybody see that? Yeah. All right, so the way we do this, we're going to go first term into first term. So I have 4x times what gives me 4x cubed? X squared. I'm going to put it right here above my x squareds. And then remember, we got to get ourselves ready to subtract. Make sure that you remember to distribute. So I'm going to get it all set up. So we multiply. What is x squared times 4x?
4x cubed.
4x cubed. What is x squared times 5?
5x squared.
So plus, good, 5x squared. Before I subtract, what do I have to do with that negative sign?
Distribute.
So change. So now I have negative 7x squared minus 5x squared.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Negative
12x squared. Good. And then what happens to my 4x cubes? They cancel out. And then what do I do with 11x?
drop it.
Break it down. And we do the same thing all over again. I have first term into first term. So I'm going to say, okay, 4x times what gives me negative 12x squared?
Negative 3x.
Negative 3x. Agreed. So I'm going to say, okay, minus 3x. And get myself ready here so I don't mess up my subtraction. Negative 3x times 4x is?
Negative 12x.
Negative 12x squared. Great. Negative 3x and 5 is?
Negative
15x. Okay. Before I subtract, what do I do?
Distribute.
Distribute. So change. So I have negative 11, positive 15.
Negative 6.
Negative 11 and a positive 15.
Positive.
What's 15 minus 11?
It's
Oh,
plus
15.
5. It's plus 5.
It's 4x.
4x.
Wow. And then what happens with my 12x's? They cancel out.
Yeah.
Then, Mia, what do I do with the plus 5?
You drop it
I'm going to bring it down. Good. So now I say, okay, first term again into first term. So 4x times what gives me 4x? 1. So plus 1. Then when I multiply 4x times 1, 4x. 1 times 5, 5. And before I subtract, what do I do? Distribute. And I'm left with what? 0. So my answer is x squared minus 3x plus 1. If I had a remainder, I would write the remainder over 4x plus 5. Mia.
So like, this one? Sorry, I'm sick.
All right, let's do another one. What do you want to do? Emmy, you said 17?
Yeah.
Okay, let's. No, we're not gonna do. Wait, don't worry about 18. Don't worry about 17 either. Let's just keep it basic. Want to do 9?
Okay.
Okay.
So 17 and 18 and 1.
All right, let's do 9. Mia, let's do 9. Let's walk through it.
Okay.
Read 9 to me.
It's
2x squared, 10x.
x plus 1 divided by 2x squared plus 10x.
Wait, we're on 9?
Yeah. What?
Okay, so 2x squared
That's probably why I got it wrong.
plus 10x plus 12. Okay. Mia, walk me through this. First thing we're going to do is make sure our exponents are in descending order, no gaps. So I go x squared x, right?
Yes.
Okay, so first term into first term. Look, I'm going to get my subtraction set up so I don't even have to think about it. Do you see how I set that up?
Yeah.
So x times what gives me 2x squared?
2x.
2x. So I'm going to put 2x right above my 10x, and then I'm going to multiply. So 2x times x, 2x squared, 2x times 3, plus 6x.
So,
Right?
yes.
Now distribute the negative.
Okay, so it'd be minus 2x squared and then minus 6x.
Correct. So you have 10x minus 6x is 4x.
Okay.
Your 2x squareds cancel out. Bring down the 12.
Okay.
So now again, first term into first term. So x times what gives me 4x?
No, 4.
Just 4. So plus 4.
So then 4 times.
So look, get this ready. So I'm going to multiply. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 3 is 12. And now before I combine anything, I'm going to distribute. So it becomes negative 4x and negative 12. So then everything cancels out. So you just have 2x plus 4. Okay?
Yeah.
How would you do it if there's a remainder again?
If there were a remainder,
Wouldn't you have
say
to
it was
take out-
7. If it was positive, you would put plus 7 over whatever you're dividing by. If it was negative, you'd put a minus. Just goes at the end. I mean, obviously this one doesn't have a remainder, so that's not there. But that's how you would do it.
You said you were giving us our quizzes back?
Yeah, 1 second. Okay. Let's look at some more stuff. Guys, like here. If you are asked to use synthetic division, all right, you will have one of these on your test. Let's just do what number? 25?
27.
Okay, 27. 27 it is. All right, it says 9x cubed minus 18x squared minus 16x plus 32 divided by x minus 2. What's the first thing I need to do for synthetic division?
You put
I got to put something in a little box over here, but how do I figure out what goes in the box?
Oh, you do x minus 2 is equal to 0.
Correct. So then what's going to go in the box?
2.
2, okay? Now I write out all the coefficients. So what do I start with?
2, 9, negative 18.
Okay, so I have 9, negative 18, negative 16, 32. Make sure that your signs are correct and you have no gaps. If there was not an x squared, what would you put?
0.
0, okay? Wherever exponent is missing, you put a 0. So when we synthetically divide, guys, bring down the first term, multiply to the corner. What's 9 times 2?
18.
Add down. What's negative 18, positive 18? 0. 0 times 2.
0.
So negative 16 and 0 is?
Negative 16.
What?
Someone accidentally mirrored to your board.
This is going to be an interesting video. Now, who is that?
It was in Spanish.
He'll fight.
Okay, here we go. Multiply to the corner. Negative 16 times 2.
Nothing is 30.
Negative 32. So then 32 minus 32 is 0. Okay. What do you have left over? These are the coefficients for your answer. If I started out with x cubed, then what does my answer begin with? X squared. You always go down 1. So, tell me what my answer is.
9x squared.
9x squared minus 16.
Oh, no x?
No, that's your constant.
0.
There is no 0. If you guys had to factor this, you're going to factor this more. What would this become?
3x times 3x minus 4, and then 3x plus 4.
Perfect. No, they're not asking you to. I was just saying, it just came out to be difference perfect squares. I just wanted you to see it. But you're going to have to synthetically divide and then tell me the resulting polynomial. All that means is write out the answer. But you guys, we're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, we like those. All right, let's look here. There's going to be one question that says that to verify that something is a factor. That was on your notes. All that is they're going to tell you like x plus 2 is a factor. Verify using synthetic division. That just means plug it in and
And if there's a reminder, if it's not. 0, then it's not a factor, right? If it's not
if the remainder is 0,
it is.
it is.
And if it's not, then
If
it
it's
isn't.
not, then it isn't.
Those types of questions just
Like here, you're gonna be asked this. Use whatever they're given, or they might give you, instead of x equals 2, they might say x minus 2, where you have to put the 2 in the box. But to show that it's a factor, your remainder will be what when you do that? 0. If they tell you to synthetically divide using the remainder theorem, then you work it all out, but the only thing that matters is the what? The remainder. Okay, you're going to have one question that says to find all the zeros of the function. That's using the rational zero test. That's the P over Q thing that I talked about. There's only going to be one of those, but you're going to have to figure out what all the zeros are. Guys, if you are going to factor, the first thing you would do, since there's 4 terms, is what? Group. If I group this, grouping doesn't work. Doesn't factor pretty. So in order to find all the zeros, you're going to have to use this rational zero test, the P over Q that I talked about a little bit. How many answers should I have? How many x's do I have?
3.
I have 3 because it's x cubed. So what you do for the rational zeros test, you look at the last number. This happens to be 20. And you think of all the factors that make up 20. So 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. And it could be a combination of positives or negatives. This could seem daunting, but I would just start, be kind of methodical. I don't think there's anything on the test that's going to be where you have to synthetically divide 20 times. But let's just check to see if 1 is a factor, right? How would I check to see if 1 is a factor? Some of you are going to say, I want to start with 4. Okay, fine. Some of you I want to start with negative 5. Okay, fine. Do what you want. I always start with 1 and just go up because it's easier. But how would I check to see if 1 is a factor here?
You put 1 in the little box.
Okay, 1 in the little box, and then what?
Synthetically divide.
Synthetically divide. So I have 1, 8, 11, and negative 20. All right, let's see if 1 is a factor. What's 1 times 1?
1.
A plus 1 is
9.
9 times 1?
9.
11 and 9 is 20 times 1? Negative 20, positive 20. What do I just prove?
It's a factor.
Okay, so one of your x's is x equals 1. Well, how many more do I have?
1 more.
I have 2 more.
Oh, wait, you're right.
At this point, guys, you can do synthetic division again, or let's see if this factors. What is my resulting polynomial? This is x squared, this is x, this is my constant, my remainder. So it's what?
X squared plus 9x plus 20.
Okay. Does that factor?
Yes.
What are the factors of 20 that multiply to give me a positive 20, but add to give me, there you go, x plus 4, x plus 5. So my other 2 x's are x equals negative 4 and perfect.
Why do you know that there's 3 of them?
Because it's x to the third.
Okay.
But when you start off with a polynomial that you can't factor right away like we traditionally would, if you do synthetic division, just start whatever the last number is, just list all the factors. You could, like, somebody in here, if they would have started with negative 4, because that's just what you wanted to try, obviously it would have worked. Then you could have factored what was left over and gotten 1 and negative 5.
How many questions are on this test?
It's not super long. It's like one of each, so maybe 7.
Okay.
But it's, like there's a million parts to
Are there
a
gonna be
couple of them.
fractions?
Could be. Miss Perez made it. I don't know if it's going to be as fractiony as your quiz was. I did that on purpose.
If Miss Perez made it, are there different forms?
Yeah, of course. Mia, you're so cute, little Mia.
Did Miss Glick tell you who I was before I came here?
No.
Oh.
Okay, let's try to this one. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
So what probability quiz is going to be the best?
We'll go over that in 1 second. How do I do this? If I group it, okay, if it's going to say use the rational zeros or whatever, if I tried to group this, does this work? No. So I have to do the rational zeros test. What are my factors of -6? Or positive? Whatever my factors of 6. 1, 2, 3, 6. Could be a combination of plus minus. I'm going to start with 1 and see if 1 works. So I have 1, 2, -5, -6. Bring down the 1. 1 times 1 is?
1.
2 plus 1 is? 3 times 1 is? -5 and 3 is? -2 times 1? Is this a factor?
No.
Okay. Let's try -1. So we have 1, 2, -5, -6. 1 times -1?
-1.
2 and -1?
-1. Oh,
Positive 1. 1 times -1? -1 and -5? -6 times -1?
+6.
What did you find out?
It's a 5.
Okay, so x equals -1 is a factor. Now, you can synthetically divide again, or we could say, hey, what's left over? How do I write this resulting polynomial? X squared plus x minus 6 equals 0. Are there factors of -6 that multiply to give me -6 and add to give me 1?
Yes.
What are they? Plus 3 minus 2. 3 times -2 is -6. 3 plus -2 is 1. So I have zeros at x equals -3 and
X equals 2.
Wait, so it's negative?
-1.
so my zeros, my roots, my solutions, if I graph this, where does it cross the x-axis? At -1, -3, +2. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
I think you guys are going to be just fine. On Wednesday, we are going to do section 2.4. Well, I'll stop the video for now. Okay, we're good. Test is tomorrow.